My name's Poonam.
My name is Minara.
My name is Rana.
I'm originally from India.
Originally, I am from Bangladesh.
And I'm originally from India.
I'm a teacher.
I'm a HR professional.
I'm a teacher and I'm a freelance writer.
Step. So it's 1, 2, 1. So it's front, back, front, back, front, back.
Learning the basic South Asian dance steps. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
I feel the growth of this agency, the need to support women in our community is so even greater now that there are no funds to support them because the isolation is greater. The need for them to come together and share their stories and feel a part of this wonderful city is so important that that's the work I'm committed to doing.
I first thought about immigration many years ago. When my children were very young, I think they were probably about 8 or 9 years old.
In 2004, my husband and me just think about Canada, but we didn't decide that time.
In the mid-90s, there was a huge influx of people into Canada from Dubai. So it was all around, and we were also thinking about it.
Applied for it. It took some time coming through. Immigration does. I think it was about 6 years before ours finally came through.
2002, 2003, I think we decided to put in our papers, and eventually the immigration went through, and we came here in 2008 to live.
So I have 2 kids. So we had decided that if we immigrate to Canada, they can have good education as well as I can have some health services here.
I thought it would be a great step for us. I kind of imagined a beautiful future for me where I would learn new skills, further my own career, and explore parts of myself and my own, creative ideas.
We might have a better life in the sense that we would have some identity or some sense of belonging, because being in the Middle East is fantastic. You have a very luxurious life. It's really good, but you don't belong there. You're never a citizen. You can stay there for 40 years and you're not a citizen. So we thought, then why not take it to another level and come to Canada.
When I came out from the airport, there is no buildings and something. I said, where we are going? Where is Toronto? Because I came from Dhaka. It's a very dense city, and came to Canada. So it's like everything is empty and something. I said, where we are going? What is going on?
It was the month of, I believe, September. And that's a beautiful period here. The colors are turning, everything's, the trees, the leaves, the flowers, everything's so colorful. And it was a beautiful period. And, that image I think I will always carry it with me all my life of Canada. I think that's probably the most beautiful period here. It was a very nice impression, yes.
it was very grey. I remember there's no sunlight the day we came, and as we were driving away from Pearson Airport, and I was thinking, my God, this is going to be home now. It was very grey, slightly unsure, but as I said, I looked upon it as with a sense of adventure.
I didn't have much expectation, but I expect that I can have a job in my field, and I didn't think that we had to do so much struggle and something, because they evaluate our educational like they have some points, no?
Right.
Points, so I have to have some kinds of English efficiency or educational background, and also service experience. So me and my husband, we had all on that time when we apply. So we thought like they're gonna give a chance to get a job related to that one or something. So that was our expectation.
Since I was a qualified teacher, that I would continue to be a teacher or work in that particular field of education.
Well, that was it. I kind of imagined a very rosy future. I thought I would find a job in my own area where I would learn, grow, work, and become a better trainer, a better teacher, and, well, a perfect future, actually. It took me some time to come down to earth and to realize that life is more practical than just looking at Canada with rose-tinted glasses. I started realizing the fact that everything's not rosy. We have practical difficulties as well here.
I thought, it's just simply like moving from one place and coming here. So I finished my life there, I start my life here. I didn't think about it, that how much it would take from me, this whole business of being an immigrant.
I had relatives, my sister and brothers, friends, my old colleagues, my air, my weather, my sky. So when I board in plane, so I felt like I'm leaving everything. It was very hard for me to leave my things. But when I come here, I become used to day by day.
Before I came to Canada, I was a high school teacher and also a freelance writer. According to India, I'm qualified to teach at the college level, even without a B.Ed, with my MPhil. But here, unfortunately, MPhil does not have much credence. So I don't have a B.Ed. I don't have a teaching degree, even though I have more than 10 years of teaching experience. And I said, let me go in the education field, but in a different direction. So I did some research and I found out about the language teaching, which has always interested me. So eventually I did my TESOL course.
First, when we came here, what I did, I went to college to upgrade my English skills. Then, I went to George Brown College. When I finished my study in social service worker, I did my internship. I did my internship in HR instead of social service because HR is my neck,
I've been working as a language teacher, ESL mostly. But I graduated as an engineer, a chemical engineer, because I was helping all my colleagues with language report writing, language issues, and so I got my language training certification from UK and then went into teaching full-time. And then I found that corporate training suited me a lot, so I went into corporate training. I trained people in a lot of corporates, and I'd been doing this for many years when I came here.
I did a job search workshop, and we were talking about resumes and this and that. And then we had a mock video interview. And in that I said, the interviewer asked me about my qualifications. And I said, well, I do have a lot, but unfortunately in Canada it is meaningless. So when they were doing a critique of these things, she said that perhaps you should not have said that. And then I said, really, but that is the truth. And then another lady who was also from South Asia, she said, well, that's the elephant in the room. No one wants to talk. Why should you have a resume with Sam, which is acceptable, but not something which is, Asian sounding or, with a long foreign name? People would advise us that do this,
So whenever I go to any counselor or somewhere, they said, HR job is for white people. HR job is for young people. So you are Asian woman, go for other thing. I'm not really a weaker person. I'm a strong person. But repeatedly when they are talking about this one, that the HR job is not for you, HR job is not for you, I got back. The probably HR job is not for me. But now I took it as a challenge. I'll study HR. I have a plan to go a long way with HR. Then when I met with this employment counselor, I said, Mark, I want to do job in HR. But people are discouraging me to get the, who told you? I said, lots of people. I said, did you ask them? Did they have applied for HR job? Or did they have any experience in HR? I said, no. So why you are hearing them? So he prepared me for the interview. He prepared my resume. And he gave me lots of facts and something, how can act, how can react, I didn't find any counselor like him. He's very good and something he took things personally to help me.
In fact, at this one particular agency that I went to, 3 continuous weeks, I kept going there, maybe twice or thrice a week sometimes, and he would always keep referring me from one person to another, and I would go there, and at the end of it, all the resume was finished according to his wish, and then he told me to apply to 14, 15 companies, make a list of that, who I applied to, and kind of put it in an Excel worksheet. I did all of that and I sent it to him, and I did not hear from him again. What worked is the resume that I had already made for myself.
The usefulness of the workshops that I attended has not, if I see it in a literal way, it has not been useful. For example, if I'm on my resume as a teacher, I really can't put my stint as an outreach worker, or the fact that I volunteered with an organization which looks after seniors, or my job search. I can't put that on my resume, but I think it added to my confidence as a person in Canada.
Finished the omelette thing?
They're working in one place, and they're calling each other and they're asking.
What do you think she should do?
Be sincere with his
Honest with her son?
And go against the king.
Okay, what do you think? Why can't he ask for forgiveness? So we're talking about the mousetrap when Hamlet was putting on the play within the play. And Claudius goes out and he starts praying. Hamlet follows him, wants to kill him, but he doesn't.
Some of the barriers, or at least one of the barriers that affect employment here, I think is that you do not have contacts. And I'll never forget one of the first job search workshop that I did in Richmond Hill. The lady who was conducting it, again, non-hyphenated Canadian, she said very clearly, she said, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Okay. And even eventually now I have found a job as a substitute teacher. It's because one of my classmates used to work there and she was kind enough to refer, give my reference to whenever they needed a substitute teacher. We are going to this place called Grade Learning in Markham. I used to be terrified of this left turn, and now I find it easier than the right turn. But most of my students, a few of them have got diabetes problems and they're on to healthy eating. See, I'm very eco-conscious. I keep my jute bags. It is okay. Morning, Ravi. Morning. How are you? So you know that most of the past tense is made with adding ed, but there are some verbs that are not ed. So these are called irregular verbs, and in English we have a lot of this, right? I write to my mother. So how would you change it to the past?
I wrote to my mother.
Very good. I think we were doing yesterday about comparative degree, quieter, quietest, degrees. Let's say we're talking about Ravi. Ravi is a fast runner. And then if, let's say, Kevin is faster than Ravi, and let's say that Wei Chow is better than both of them. So what word am I going to use? In English, we have these words that denote degrees. Fast, faster. I do think that race and color plays an important part in the job market. I don't know whether I'm right or wrong fully. I don't know. Now, if I wanted a job in Winners, I think I could go and get it. I don't think it might be a barrier there, the so-called survival job.
I told you I got 3 jobs. So 3 of them through connections. Without that, I think I didn't get that job, no? If they go to 10 organizations, they can get at least from 1 or 2 organizations, they got the positive response. Then they can start their volunteering over there. They can build the relationship with them people in the organizations. All people are not bad. Some people are there to help us.
I was able to find winter work, like seasonal work during the Christmas season at a store. It's not in my area of work. It doesn't give me work satisfaction, but it pays the bills. I wouldn't be happy working there forever and ever. And probably they wouldn't be happy having me either. I mean, you can only give so much if you're not happy. When you're happy with a job, then you give everything you've got.
I think call center job, customer service job, those are available. And there's something like, childcare, something.
I'm not saying that, I'm great, but I'm saying that I am qualified. I have experience with the British board, that is IGCSE. I have experience with the European board, that is the International Baccalaureate, and yet I can't find a job.
So it's not anybody's fault, because I think there are too many teachers and too few. I wouldn't say too few, but there are more teachers than there are schools.
Barrier is our... So, not one thing, lots of things. culture, language, skin, the way we dress up. So barrier is not in one thing, you know. Barrier is in various things. When people see our skin or face or something, not all, some people, they just may make their mind that I don't know English, I don't know how to talk. তো ধরেন আমাকে একটা কিছু বোঝাচ্ছে, সে তার হাত পা মাথা সব কিছু দিয়ে একসাথে বোঝাচ্ছে মুখে কথা বলার সাথে সাথে। আমরা যেমন ধরেন একটা লোক যখন কথা বলতে পারে না কিংবা কানে শুনে না, আমরা যখন তাকে বোঝানোর জন্য আপ্রাণ চেষ্টা করি, সে ধরেই নে যে এটা বোধহয় বুঝবে না, তাকে বুঝাইতে হবে ব্যাপারটা। Even though a few days ago one guy came to my office, one guy, he was in wheelchair. I was behind, I came in and to help him. Then I asked him that, hello sir. Only I said hello sir. And he just turned back to me. He said, I don't want to talk to anybody who doesn't have Canadian accent. And I said, okay, go ahead.
The places where I worked, where I actually found work, I haven't had any such discrimination, felt any such discrimination, racial or gender-wise, at those places. The place where I did not find work, was, I feel, because of a bit of discrimination, because the lady was kind of surprised that I was an English teacher. And she said something to the effect that, how can you teach English? It's not your language. So that I felt was a little bit kind of discriminating.
So somewhere I think it's not right, and these systemic barriers, I think, are there, and people realize it or don't realize it, but this is a barrier that directly affects the immigrant, and especially the skilled immigrant.
Like government is spending lots of money on that, no, to settle down the process. Besides their services, if they provide at least 1 year placement, from then those people can get their own path. The first one is the difficult thing. So like when people trying and they are not getting job in their own field, then they divert to other things. Then they are getting frustration. They are, you know, like, even though, you know, one frustrated woman cannot help their kids too. Satisfaction matters. They have talent. Our women or men, they have talent. They are searching the best people from our country, no? So when they come here, they're like, you know, sinking in the system. They're not coming up. First few days, if government support the people, new people, they can have their own path in few days.
Well, for starters, Canada, I think the whole immigration system, I know it is being changed, it's being revamped, but I think they need to talk with immigrants more as to what our needs are. So the system of skills, matching the skills to the person, you know. We shouldn't, because when I came here with all my education, with all my skills, I felt I was just thrown into the sea and I had to, you know, sink or swim. And so it is a very daunting process, and I think the immigration process, they could make it much easier in the sense that when people first, you know, put in their papers, then you should match them, or you should tell them that this is expected, or this is where you can go, or you need these skills in order to enter the Canadian workforce. That is not done. I remember the interviewing officer in Dubai, when he looked at my certificates, he said, oh, you'll be in great demand and, you know, fantastic. And so I had no clue that when I came here, I would be a zero. I had no clue.
You know, I do understand that the level of experience and the level of education might differ from country to country, from region to region, from place to place, and things like that, even from individual to individual. But I still think that there needs to be some basis, some sort of criteria where you can equate people and say, okay, these are teachers and these are engineers. And they could be engineers from different places, different countries. But I think we need a level playing field. What we have right now is not a level playing field. So although the Canadian government has done a lot to help settle immigrants, I kind of feel sometimes that they may be targeting only one area, only one group of immigrants. They're not targeting different groups of immigrants. Immigrants come in all shapes and sizes with all different kinds of backgrounds. And if you just lump them all together and you say, okay, all immigrants, they have to be re-educated. What are we doing with the kind of education, the kind of experience some immigrants already have, which could turn out to be valuable, which could help us in making contributing citizens rather than being, what is it called, social welfare here? Ontario Works or something like that? So rather than just waiting for government aid, why can't we just start being contributory citizens right from the beginning? So what I need is what some immigrants, at least the ones that I've come in contact with, need is a level playing field where we can kind of compete with other people on an equal footing, you know. We find ourselves pretty much disadvantaged because we feel we can contribute more, but we're not allowed to because we're new.
I see myself as primarily a global citizen. I'm well educated, you know, hopefully I'm a good human being. I've well traveled, you know, I can have a conversation now with anyone. So I see myself as a global citizen, and I never thought about it in that way. But now I'm very much aware.
There's a very strict point system for immigration, which means that the country actually looks at every criteria that you have to fulfill, and you do fulfill, only then you are allowed within the country as an immigrant, as a legal immigrant. Well, in that case, perhaps we need to welcome the immigrant as a whole, not ask him to leave a certain part of his life behind and start afresh. You know, if you're welcoming a person, his personality, his future, then his background also needs to be welcomed. Whatever wealth of experience he's bringing in should be invited along with him. And it should not be ignored, it should not be discarded, it should not be said or told to him, I'm afraid that's not Canadian experience, so we do not consider that. Because that really hurts. Of course it's not Canadian experience. It's experience from another part of the world. But then I am from another part of the world. If I were from Canada, I wouldn't be an immigrant. So if I have come here as an immigrant and I feel welcomed here by the government as an immigrant, why is my background not welcomed?
In Canada, there is a HRPA, Human Resources Professional Associations. So I'm working to get the designation. So I have a plan to go to York University in bridging program. They have started their HR program this year, so I applied for the program. So I hope if I get the HR designation and I can, if I am consistent on my path, so I can have a good job. I believe that.
So what I hope for now is more that I can really contribute and be a good citizen, and also that Canada will also give me back something.
Perhaps one day people will take me as a whole, you know, not just a part of me, and will include me as a part of Canada as a whole, not just a part of me. And perhaps that will apply to all immigrants and not just to me. Because I think every person who comes here brings in a lot of good with him, you know, lovely experience, lovely background, lovely education, useful things. Maybe we could use that rather than having them work at shallow jobs which don't pay enough and which actually make them feel frustrated and disillusioned with life. Maybe make use of these skills that they have rather than making them start afresh.